This is a quick tutorial on how to skim like a college student. These articles that we are reading are very long, and I want to just demonstrate for you kind of live in action a method for skimming the article to get the information that you need. First of all, I want to point out that skimming does mean reading. Skimming does not mean I just looked at it and saw it. You do have to actually read through the sentences and understand the sentences that you are reading. It's just that you're going to be skipping a lot of them. So, to get the main idea or the thesis statement, you need to start by reading the abstract or the introduction. So, I'm using this sample article about Lord of the Flies. It says Lord of the Flies as a post-war rewriting of salvation history. Because we are going to be using a full bibliographic citation on the annotated bibliography, it is not necessary to list the entire article title and entire author's name in your topic sentence like we would usually do. Instead, you can literally just say, this article argues or suggests, implies, etc. to get yourself started. Now, to make it easier, I've gone ahead and highlighted the parts that I skimmed in order to make the video go quicker. So the abstract should give me the main idea or thesis. And in fact, as I am reading this paragraph about Lord of the Flies, I see first published reflects a bleak sense of post-war pessimism. And then I see in this article, it is argued. Boom, there's a signal. I need to pay attention. It is argued that the novel's symbolic narrative is polysemic, and when it is read as anagogic myth, may be seen to span Judeo-Christian or salvation history, rewriting its chapters of creation, fall, the problem of evil, the failure of law, the hope of salvation, the mission of a messianic figure, and an ambiguous representation of his return. That is the thesis statement of this article. Now, you better bet I had to look up the words polysemic and anagogic, and I'm going to write this a whole lot shorter. So this article argues that Lord of the Flies can be read as an allegory of biblical creation, fall, messianic story. All right, so I shortened it quite a bit there, and I wrote it in language that I can understand. And yes, I did skip a couple of these, but don't worry, I'll hit those in a minute. It goes on in the introduction to say the study examines the novel's paradoxical symbolism using Fry's phases of anagogic myth with its poles of apocalyptic and demonic imagery. It traces the relation of symbols to their counterparts in biblical narratives. Okay, so now I kind of know what I'm reading for. This article is saying that Lord of the Flies has parallels to the biblical narrative. So because I got what I needed from the abstract, I can skim the introduction by just reading the first sentence of every paragraph. Some of them will be important, and I'll want to take account of them in my summary. Some of them I will just need to understand to move forward, and some of them will let me realize I don't need to read that paragraph. It is a great pleasure to meet you, Mr. Golding. Yep, I don't think I need that. Where Lord of the Flies has been read reductively, original sin writ large over it, readers have tended to respond to the novel in terms of its doleful view of humanity or perceived theology. This is the argument that this writer is arguing against. So this time I'm going to use his name. I'm going to say, not over there. I'm going to say Van Buren sees previous readings of Lord of the novel, let's keep it short, that focus on original sin only as leaving out key elements. Golding's full point. That's what reductive means. It means it leaves stuff out. It reduces the argument. All right, so let's see, Golding was part of what Page has called a brilliant constellation of post-war writers. Okay, so now we're just talking about who Golding was, and still talking about what Golding was. Now he starts talking about the first myths in Aristotle's words, talking about just myth and myth analysis. We don't need that part. Myth criticism still. Now, this is the part I told you is called the Lit Review. Northrop Frye, Levi Strauss, Fraser and Bodkin. We can skip all that. While Lord of the Flies has been exhaustively analyzed as archetypal myth, not much was given to Okay, I think I've already covered that in my analysis. Single interpretations fail to deal with the duality. I think I've already covered that. All right, so now he starts getting into his argument. Here are the headings. Now you can start looking at the main headings, and sometimes that's all you need to do your analysis. So the island is seen as both the creation and the fall. And so then you start reading topic sentences. Lord of the Flies opens in Eden, okay, creation and fall. The island is that secluded natural environment in which in dreams features as the lost paradise, but the island has two distinct sides, the worlds of dream and nightmare. So let's see. He suggests that the island represents both creation and the fall in the idyllic Garden of Eden. Okay, so that covers his first point. Skipping down now, the beast is his next point, is the presence of evil. I think I can use a semicolon here. The beast is symbolic of the presence of evil. Too many L's. Okay. Foreshadowing the last days. Where are we going now? Did I miss something? No. Let's see. I'm going to use a comma structure here for a complex series of clauses. And the conch represents the rule of law and its subsequent loss. He goes on to say, the failure of law. So the conch and the rules. The conch and the rules closely aligned are associated from the beginning with Ralph's leadership, and then Jack undermines authority and Ralph's leadership crumbles, which is maybe I need to account for that differently. Golding, it's an allusion to the last days. Well, let's see. I can make that a new sentence. The destruction of the cross, conch, biblical, may be a reference to the biblical end of days. Now, I think I've left out something significant here, unless it's coming up. No, there it is. Simon as the Christ figure. I'll say Van Buren points out the significance of Simon as the sacrificial Christ figure who brought hope. Let's see. And then here at the end, so now we get to the end of this. I'm reading every first sentence here, but I don't notice I'm not including everything in this very short summary. The Simon continues to cry out, and as I read, there's no set conclusion, but here I am at the end of the article, so I'm just going to read these last two paragraphs in the hopes that it gives me some conclusion material. Ultimately, Van Buren shows that there is more to the book than a simple battle of good versus evil. And then I need to have one sentence that assesses the usefulness of this article. That comes just from me and not from anything that I read in the article. So I might just say, this article offers a clearer perspective on the narrative structure of the novel and the significance of certain characters. It's as simple as that. I'm basically here saying this is a good one and it's going to help me with my research. All right, now, of course, I would go back and make sure that Lord of the Flies is in italics every time I use it. Make sure that you are using the author's last name only. And this is, I would say, on the long side of a summary, honestly.